Well, today's video is going to be a little bit different. As some of you know, I make my own stuff out of leather. The first time I ever made anything was just a couple of months back when I made my quiver for my bow for archery. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make one of these. It's going to run about 150 bucks to make something like that. I'll show you what I picked up today. I picked up half a vegetable tanned shoulder. That's cowhide, 2 belt blanks, some wax cord, a couple of buckles, and just some hardware, decorative hardware. And then a rabbit fur there. I'm going to put that around the top of the quiver just to decorate a little bit. This one's going to be for my daughter, so I thought I'd decorate it a little bit with some rabbit fur. So all of this together probably cost me about what you see there on the floor or on the table there. Cost around 100 bucks. Matter of fact, I got the receipt right here. Yeah, everything that you saw right there was $93.66. Now the materials that are right there run about 100 bucks, but there's some other things you'll need. So this will probably stretch the project out to about 150 bucks. You'll need some lace, some leather lace, and I'm going to lay all the tools out and show you what tools and the leather lace and all that sort of stuff. Right, so the tools you'll need. All right there. I got a level to use as my straight edge for cutting, my square for measuring and also for straightening everything out to make sure it's straight. The wax cord I showed you earlier. This is the leather lace. This a size of spool like this runs about 30 bucks. A hammer. 3 punches. I've got a 1/16, a 5/32, and a 13/64 punch. And then an X-Acto knife for cutting the leather. And if the leather is thin enough, I can usually get away with cutting it with some shears. And then also I have a compass that I like to use. I'll have to go hunt that down. You'll see me using it later on today. So what I'm going to do now is put all this stuff away, lay out my pattern on the leather, and then show that to you before I cut it. So all I've made so far is the quiver I just showed you, my arm guard, and my knife sheath. Made it left-handed so I can put it on my right hip. So that's the only thing I've made out of leather so far, so I am by no means an expert, and you will see that during the course of this, which means the good news is if I can do it, you can do it. Alright, so the first thing I want to do before I lay out anything is give myself a good square edge to work off of. And the first thing I also want to do is find out if these will cut the leather okay. You can see that. Cut the leather great, so I won't have to use the X-Acto knife, which would be fantastic. So I'm going to draw as close to a straight line as I can across the top here. I'm going to take my compass and just use that to mark the leather, and I'm marking the good side. Fairly nice straight line across the top. So the next thing I want to do is square up this side. So I'm going to use my square to do that. Slide this under the edge. And just line it up with that top edge and this corner. And I'm going to use this to start me. Now I got a straight line started. I'll use my level to complete it. my shears again. Cut this edge off. So now I know that I'm starting with a reasonably straight corner up there to drive all my measurements off of. Alright, so now you can see I got a reasonably straight square corner to start everything off of, and we'll lay out the pattern and cut that out. And notice that this piece of leather is stiff enough to hold its shape, but pliable enough, and when it's on your back, in theory, when you bend over, your back will squeeze the arrows in, so they won't fall out over your shoulder. So that's the theory anyhow, we'll see. Okay, you can see from the pattern that I drew up, and I'll post a picture of this. The top of my quiver is going to be 12 inches across, so when I fold it over it'll be slightly narrower than about 5 inches. The bottom of the quiver is going to be 10 inches across. And the overall length of the quiver, 20 inches. So I'm just going to draw that pattern out, 12 inches. 12 inches on the top, 10 inches on the bottom, 20 inches long overall. And then you'll notice it's got this slight 1-inch taper on each side. It's going to make the quiver, or give the quiver a taper. So I'll start drawing that out on the leather and then I'll show that to you. Now, as I said, the top of the quiver is going to be 12 inches. So what I want to do is I want to mark out 6 inches from this corner and find the center. So I'm going to use my compass to help me do that. Alright, so there's 6 inches on the compass. There's 6 inches there. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to find my 6 inches. Big little dot there. And there's 6. And there's 6. So now I'm going to draw my center line off those 2 dots. So that's the center of the quiver. Come over 6 inches from here. Draw another line. Remember, when you're scoring the leather, you don't want to score it deep because you don't want to see these when the finished product is done. Now, the quiver is going to be 20 inches long, so there's 12. And there's 20. So that mark there is 20. And then come down 20 on this one. And 20. Same thing over here. And there's 20. I'm going to draw a line across at 20. Now remember, I said the top is going to be 12 and the bottom is going to be 10. So we'll mark that off. Set my compass to 5. Coming off the center, make a dot. Going the other way, make a dot. And once I have my center line, I prefer to make all my measurements off the center line either way. That way, if anything goes wrong on the sides, it'll still come out even, because I'll be 5 inches from center to here, 5 inches from center to here, 6 inches from here to here, 6 inches from here to here. So I always take my measurements from the center line out. So I have my dot there, my dot there. So now the next step is to draw my taper from the 5-inch mark to my 6-inch mark. Here. So at this point, the body of your quiver is marked out on the leather. I'm going to run this line all the way down and cut this straight one before I cut the taper. So what I want to do is maintain a straight corner after I cut this piece out. Now we're going to cut the bottom off. So essentially what we have now is a 12-inch by 20-inch rectangle. We have a line running here and a line running here, going down from 12 inches wide to 10 inches wide.